You have some longer-term goals or goals in mind, and you would like to see if it is possible for you to figure it out and do it yourself. Perhaps you want to build a website or make a drone or write a diagnostic tool for your medical work or who knows what. If I knew what it was, I could give you a lot better advice. If you want to write something for the web, PHP is a good choice. It's quick to learn the basics, and you can quickly start doing something that will allow you to see the results of your work quickly. There are lots of other people who know it who can help you out. If you write apps for smartphones, you should learn Java. You are an intellectually curious guy, and you would like to tinker around and learn a little more about the most powerful and world-changing technologies of our age. If that's what you want to do, I could recommend some other things you might want to try. If you really want to get your hands dirty, you could get yourself a little Arduino starter kit for less than $100 and start learning C and programming it to do cool things like run motors, flashlights, flip switches, talk on the internet, etc. It's close to the metal so you can see exactly what is happening more clearly. You would like a challenge to enjoy, like crossword puzzles on steroids to exercise your gray matter. Go learn Lisp. You can learn the syntax very quickly, and then the mind-bending stuff begins. If you are honest about reading, then learn these books. Python for informatics. Think Python just too good of a first language to suggest anything else. There are many books to choose from, but I've yet to see one that I call highly recommendable. Then download Parrot OS Linux. You'll have all the tools you'll need for hacking. Don't get yourself into trouble. Don't do anything foolish till you fully understand it. Learn all you can about the network. How the internet works. Learn about VPN and Tor. The deep web is a must. Give the number of books top 6 programming languages. This book favored each of the university teachers and professors. I will give this link inside this description. These books offer insights into delivering clean code. It offers a step-by-step approach to coding with enough examples to completely understand each point. Everything about cleaning, writing, and refactoring code can be found in these books, making them a must-read for every budding developer. C is a general-purpose programming language that is extremely popular, simple, and flexible. It is a machine-independent structured programming language which is used extensively in various applications. Programming language was created in 1969. The creation of the C programming language is attributed to Dennis Ritchie at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. The C programming language was created for microprocessor programming. There are countless lists on the internet claiming to be the list of must-read C books, and it seemed that all those lists always recommended the same books minus 2 or 3 odd choices. Finding good resources for learning programming is always tricky. Everyone has their own opinion about what book is the best to learn, and as we say in French, color and tastes should not be argued about. However, I thought it would be interesting to trust the wisdom of the crown and to find the books that appeared the most in those best C book lists. My first recommendation for C programming name is the C Programming Language by Dennis Ritchie and Brian Kernighan. And this book I sat in first position because the father of a C programmer writes this book with Brian W. Kernighan. This book is meant to help the reader learn how to program in C. It contains a tutorial introduction to get new users started as soon as possible, separate chapters on each major feature, and a reference manual. Most of the treatment is based on reading, writing and revising examples, rather than on mere statements of rules. For the most part, the examples are complete real programs rather than isolated fragments. All examples have been tested directly from the text, which is in machine-readable form. Besides showing how to make effective use of the language, we have also tried where possible to illustrate useful algorithms and principles of good style and sound design. This book is not an introductory programming manual. It assumes some familiarity with basic programming concepts like variables, assignment statements, loops, and functions. Nonetheless, a novice programmer should be able to read along and pick up the language, although access to a more knowledgeable colleague will help. My second choice is the C Programming Absolute Beginner's Guide, written by Greg Perry and Dean Miller. This book is an easy-to-follow guide for those interested in learning C programming. This resource includes many illustrations and sample codes for visual and other types of learners. Write powerful C programs without becoming a technical expert. This book is the fastest way to get comfortable with C, one incredibly clear and easy step at a time. You'll learn all the basics. How to organize programs, store and display data, work with variables, operators, IOA, pointers, arrays, functions, and much more. C programming has never been this simple. Who knew how simple C programming could be? This is today's best beginner's guide to writing C programs and to learning skills you can use with practically any language. Its simple practical instructions will help you start creating useful, reliable C code, from games to mobile apps. Plus, it's fully updated for the new C11 standard and today's free open-source tools. Here's a small sample of what you'll learn. Discover free C programming tools for Windows, OS X, or Linux. Understand the parts of a C program and how they fit together. Generate output and display it on the screen. Interact with users and respond to their input. Make the most of variables by using assignments and expressions. Control programs by testing data and using logical operators. Store information so it's easy to access and use. Manage your data with arrays, pointers, and data structures. Handle all your programs' math for you. Handle your computer's memory as efficiently as possible. Make programs more powerful with preprocessing directives. My third choice, the book name is Let Us See Write by Yashavan Kanetkar. It is only one Indian writer who top of the list. He is mainly focused on Windows programming environment. The new edition of this classic book has been thoroughly revamped but remains faithful to the principles that have established it as a favorite amongst students, teachers and software professionals around the world. Simplicity has been the hallmark of this book in not only its previous 18 English editions, but also in the Hindi, Gujarati, Japanese, Korean, Chinese and US editions. This book doesn't assume any programming background. It begins with the basics and steadily builds the pace so that the reader finds it easy to handle advanced topics towards the end of the book. I prefer students, programmers, researchers, and software developers who wish to learn the basics of the C programming language. My fourth book is Learn C Programming, written by Jeff Suhay. With this book, you'll be able to get up to speed with C and know. The book takes you through basic programming concepts and shows you how to implement them in the C programming language. Throughout the book, you'll create and run programs that demonstrate essential C concepts, such as program structure with functions, control structures such as loops and conditional statements, and complex data structures. As you make progress, you'll get to grips with in-code documentation, testing, and validation methods. This new edition expands upon the use of enumerations, arrays, and additional C features and provides 2 working programs based on the code used in the book. What's more, this book uses the method of intentional failure, where you'll develop a working program and then purposely break it to see what happens, thereby learning how to recognize possible mistakes when they happen. This C programming book, you'll have developed basic programming skills in C that can be easily applied to other programming languages and have gained a solid foundation for you to build on as a programmer. You're an absolute beginner who has basic familiarity with operating a computer. This book will help you learn the most fundamental concepts and practices that you need to know to become a successful C programmer. If you're an experienced programmer, you'll find the full range of C syntax, as well as common C idioms covered in the book useful. My fifth book name is C Interfaces and Implementations, written by David Hanson, is an advanced level book. This book requires high-level programmer creating reusable software modules. They are the building blocks of large, reliable applications. Unlike some modern object-oriented languages, C provides little linguistic support or motivation for creating reusable application programming interfaces, APIs. While most C programmers use APIs and the libraries that implement them in almost every application they write, relatively few programmers create and disseminate new, widely applicable APIs. C interfaces and implementations shows how to create reusable APIs using interface-based design, a language-independent methodology that separates interfaces from their implementations. This methodology is explained by example. The author describes in detail 24 interfaces and their implementations, providing the reader with a thorough understanding of this design approach. Features of C interfaces and implementations. Concise interface descriptions that comprise a reference manual for programmers interested in using the interfaces. A guided tour of the code that implements each chapter's interface to help those modifying or extending an interface or designing related interfaces. In-depth focus on algorithm engineering. How to package. My sixth book name is Clean Code. A handbook of agile software craftsmanship right by Robert C. Martin. Even bad code can function. But if code isn't clean, it can bring a development organization to its knees. Every year, countless hours and significant resources are lost because of poorly written code. But it doesn't have to be that way. Noted software expert Robert C. Martin presents a revolutionary paradigm with Clean Code, a handbook of agile software craftsmanship. Martin, who has helped bring agile principles from a practitioner's point of view to tens of thousands of programmers, has teamed up with his colleagues from Object Mentor to distill their best agile practice of cleaning code on the fly into a book that will instill within you the values of software craftsmen and make you a better programmer, but only if you work at it. What kind of work will you be doing? You'll be reading code, lots of code. And you will be challenged to think about what's right about that code and what's wrong with it. More importantly, you will be challenged to reassess your professional values and your commitment to your craft. Clean codes are divided into three parts. The first describes the principles, patterns, and practices of writing clean code. The second part consists of several case studies of increasing complexity. Each case study is an exercise in cleaning up code, of transforming a code base that has some problems into one that is sound and efficient. The third part is the payoff. A single chapter containing a list of heuristics and smells gathered while creating the case studies. The result is a knowledge base that describes the way we think when we write, read, and clean. The result is a knowledge base that describes the way we think when we write, read, and clean. My seventh book name is Cracking the Coding Interview. 189 Programming Questions and Solutions, right by Gail Lockman McDowell. I am not a recruiter. I am a software engineer. And as such, I know what it's like to be asked to whip up brilliant algorithms on the spot and then write flawless code on a whiteboard. Cracking the Coding Interview, 6th edition, is here to help you through this process, teaching you what you need to know and enabling you to perform at your very best. I've coached and interviewed hundreds of software engineers. The result is this book. Learn how to uncover the hints and hidden details in a question, discover how to break down a problem into manageable chunks, develop techniques to unstick yourself when stuck, learn or relearn core computer science concepts, and practice on 189 interview questions and solutions. These interview questions are real, they are not pulled out of computer science textbooks. My 8th programming book is Pragmatic Programmer, Your Journey to Mastery, written by David Thomas and Andrew Hunt. Pragmatic Programmer is one of those rare tech books you'll read, reread, and read again over the years. Whether you're new to the field or an experienced practitioner, you'll come away with fresh insights each and every time. Dave Thomas and Andy Hunt wrote the first edition of this influential book in 1999 to help their clients create better software and rediscover the joy of coding. These lessons have helped a generation of programmers examine the very essence of software development, independent of any particular language, framework, or methodology, and the pragmatic philosophy has spawned hundreds of books, screencasts, and audiobooks, as well as thousands of careers and success stories. 20 years later, this new edition re-examines what it means to be a modern programmer. Topics range from personal responsibility and career development to architectural techniques for keeping your code flexible and easy to adapt and reuse. Read this book, and you'll learn how to fight software rot, learn continuously, avoid the trap of duplicating knowledge, avoid programming by coincidence, learn real requirements, solve the underlying problems of concurrent code, guard against security vulnerabilities. Written as a series of self-contained sections and filled with classic and fresh anecdotes, thoughtful examples, and interesting analogies, The Pragmatic Programmer illustrates the best approaches and major pitfalls of many different aspects of software development. Whether you're a new coder, an experienced programmer, or a manager responsible for software projects, use these lessons daily, and you'll quickly see improvements in personal productivity, accuracy, and job satisfaction. You'll learn skills and develop habits and attitudes that form the foundation for long-term success in your career. My ninth C programming book is C Programming for Scientists and Engineers with Applications by Rama Reddy and Carol Ziegler. C is a favored and widely used programming language, particularly within the fields of science and engineering. C Programming for Scientists and Engineers with Applications guides readers through the fundamental, as well as the advanced concepts, of the C programming language as it applies to solving engineering and scientific problems. Ideal for readers with no prior programming experience, this text provides numerous sample problems and their solutions in the areas of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, heat transfer, fluid mechanics, physics, chemistry, and more. It begins with a chapter focused on the basic terminology relating to hardware, software, problem definition and solution. From there, readers are quickly brought into the key elements of C and will be writing their own code upon completion of Chapter 2. Concepts are then gradually built upon using a strong, structured approach with syntax and semantics presented in an easy-to-understand sentence format. Readers will find C Programming for Scientists and Engineers with Applications to be an engaging, user-friendly introduction to this popular language. My last C programming book on this list, the book name is Practical C Programming, written by Steve Uihlein. There are lots of introductory C books, but this is the first one that has the no-nonsense practical approach that has made nutshell handbooks famous. C programming is more than just getting the syntax right. Style and debugging also play a tremendous part in creating programs that run well and are easy to maintain. This book teaches you not only the mechanics of programming, but also describes how to create programs that are easy to read, debug, and update. Practical rules are stressed. For example, there are 15 precedence rules in C. The practical programmer reduces these to 2. Multiplication and division come before addition, and subtraction. Contrary to popular belief, most programmers do not spend most of their time creating code. Most of their time is spent modifying someone else's code. This book shows you how to avoid the all-too-common obfuscated uses of C and thereby leave code that the programmer responsible for maintenance does not have to struggle with. Electronic archaeology, the art of going through someone else's code, is described. This third edition introduces popular integrated development environments on Windows systems, as well as Unix programming utilities, and features a large statistics generating program to pull together the concepts and features in the language. Features. The new C++11 standard allows programmers to express ideas more clearly, simply, and directly, and to write faster, more efficient code. Bjorn Stroustrup, the designer and original implementer of C++, has reorganized, extended, and completely rewritten his definitive reference and tutorial for programmers who want to use C++ most effectively. Our first C++ book name is C++ Programming Language, written by Stroustrup. Bjorn. C++ Programming Language, 4th edition, delivers meticulous, richly explained, and integrated coverage of the entire language, its facilities, abstraction mechanisms, standard libraries, and key design techniques. Throughout, Stroustrup presents concise pure C++11 examples, which have been carefully crafted to clarify both usage and program design. To promote deeper understanding, The author provides extensive cross-references, both within the book and to the ISO standard. Once you get past the obligatory introduction, this book is pretty much broken down into 3 sections. The first section, chapters 2 to 5, is a crash course on C++, what Mr. Stroustrup calls a tour of C++. If you are already a seasoned programmer, and I'm talking about years of structured development in a professional environment, then this first section will bring you up to speed with C++ in minimal time. Knowing C at the start helps, as the basic syntax, operators, statements, etc. are common to both languages, but it is not a necessity. The language with which you're familiar isn't as important as having a sufficient background and experience. I personally found this first section invaluable, as it allowed me to learn C++ in one weekend, at least to a point where I could pass 2 separate C++ assessments the following week and land job interviews because of it. However, if you don't have the necessary background before beginning, this section will get you lost really fast and will end up discouraging you more than helping you. You have been duly warned. My second C++ book name is C++. Programming Basics for Absolute Beginners by Nathan Clark. Learning a programming language can seem like a daunting task. You may have looked at coding in the past and felt it was too complicated and confusing. This comprehensive beginner's guide will take you step by step through learning one of the best programming languages out there. In a matter of no time, you will be writing code like a professional. C++ is an evolution of the C programming language and is a powerful and versatile language. It is a great language to learn whether you have never written a line of code in your life or are a seasoned developer. C++ is a stepping stone to creating a multitude of wonderful and practical programs. What this book offers. This guide is written specifically for beginners. We take you step by step through writing your very first program, explaining each portion of the code as we go along. We guide you through choosing a compiler and editor, as well as common pitfalls beginners should avoid. This book serves as a teaching guide and also a reference manual to accompany you through this wonderful world of programming. For that reason, included a sample C++ library, a glossary of terms, as well as lists of available compilers, and libraries for future reference. It's a good thing that this book is designed for beginners like you. I am very much interested in learning, but when you start something new, there is always a lot of confusion. Of course, the best idea is to find a good mentor or a course. But for the first steps, this book is already more than sitting on the sofa, doing nothing. I am pretty sure that I will be using this book as soon as I learn more, because right now, I still need to invest more time in my C++ education along with examples. The book breaks down the components of compatible codes, and Mr. Clark includes a nice series of libraries to get you started. Also, there is a detailed glossary at the end to help you novices out there understand what each of the terms mean and how they correlate to what you're looking to accomplish. As Mr. Clark indicates, the possibilities are limited only to your knowledge of the right codes. My third book's name is C++. The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Master, written by Mark Reed. C++ programming is a system that offers usable techniques with which they can successfully implement a program that is tough enough to stand the test of time. With pertinent design and development information, you can quickly grasp the concepts of C++ and begin to develop your own program that fits for whatever purpose you require. With this book, C++. 2 books in one, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Mastering C++ Programming and Implement a Robust Program Quickly, you have clear and concise information that will provide advantages, such as the best practices for coding work across multiple devices. Be part of a much larger community of users. This book does an excellent job of taking a complex programming language and breaking it down into a simple guide, which gives you a foundation to build. This book is full of illustrative examples and clear explanations that will help you on your path to mastering C++. C++ programming is a system that offers usable techniques with which they can successfully implement a program that is tough enough to stand the test of time. With pertinent design and development information, you can quickly grasp the concepts of C++ and begin to develop your own program that fits for whatever purpose you require. My fourth book's name is Modern C++ Programming Cookbook, written by Marius Bancila. The updated second edition of Modern C++ Programming Cookbook addresses the latest features of C++20, such as modules, concepts, coroutines, and the many additions to the standard library, including ranges and text formatting. The book is organized in the form of practical recipes, covering a wide range of problems faced by modern developers. The book also delves into the details of all the core concepts in modern C++ programming, such as functions and classes, iterators and algorithms, streams and the file system, threading and concurrency, smart pointers and move semantics, and many others. It goes into the performance aspects of programming in depth, teaching developers how to write fast and lean code with the help of best practices. Furthermore, the book explores useful patterns and delves into the implementation of many idioms, including pimple, named parameter, and attorney-client, teaching techniques such as avoiding repetition with the factory pattern. There is also a chapter dedicated to unit testing, where you are introduced to three of the most widely used libraries for C++: Boost, Test, Google Test. The book is designed for entry or medium-level C++ programmers who have a basic knowledge of C++ and want to master the language and become prolific modern C++ developers. Experienced C++ programmers can leverage this book to strengthen their command of C++ and find a good reference to many language and library features of C++11. This is an excellent book if you're already familiar with the ropes of C++ and wish to further develop your set of C++ skills. I'm a big fan of how it is organized, much like a recipe book. It groups together topics into chapters, each of which are relatively distinct from one another, so you don't have to progress through the book in order. If you just want to learn about some topics in file IOA, then you can skip to that chapter. Likewise, you can move to the chapter on concurrency if that's what you want to learn. I also really like how each topic within a chapter is covered. The book introduces the topic, describing what prerequisite knowledge you might need, then shows you code on how to perform some task. It then takes time to explain how that task works behind the scenes and then provides references to other sections of the book that are helpful if you want to build upon your new knowledge of this topic. This consistent layout makes it easy to look up and find whatever information about a topic that you need. I find the book's composition to be particularly useful. It's designed to be digestible so that you can check out a specific chapter based on your needs and interests. The book does make clear that it's not quite for beginners. You want to have a basic understanding of functions, classes, templates, macros, etc. before you dive into this book. But if you feel comfortable with C++ already, then this book does a great job of providing you with plenty of information to further strengthen your understanding and expertise of C++ then. My fifth C++ book's name is Tour of C++, a C++ in-depth series written by Bjarne Stroustrup. Stroustrup presents C++ features in the context of the programming styles they support, such as object-oriented and generic programming. His tour is remarkably comprehensive. Coverage begins with the basics and then ranges widely through more advanced topics, emphasizing newer language features. This edition covers many features that are new in C++20, as implemented by major C++ suppliers, including modules, concepts, coroutines, and ranges. It even introduces some library components in current use that are not scheduled for inclusion in the standard until C++23. This authoritative guide does not aim to teach you how to program, nor will it be the only resource you'll need for C++ mastery. If, however, you are a C or C++ programmer wanting greater familiarity with the current C++ language, or a programmer versed in another language wishing to gain an accurate picture of the nature and benefits of modern C++, you won't find a shorter or simpler introduction. This edition is a great update on the C++ 17 edition. It was especially useful having both editions to compare when necessary to get a feel not only for how the language has changed, but how thinking about using the language has changed. For those who have not read a previous version, this book is very succinct considering the breadth of topics covered. The examples are well thought out and clear and often show a progression of thinking as topics are introduced with good tips at the end of each chapter for better and more efficient coding. However, you need to know C++ before reading this book. Better to start with another book and come back to this book to consolidate your knowledge. My sixth book's name is C++ Primer, written by Stanley Lipman, fully updated and recast for the newly released C++ 11 standard. This authoritative and comprehensive introduction to C++ will help you to learn the language fast and to use it in modern, highly effective ways. Highlighting today's best practices, the authors show how to use both the core language and its standard library to write efficient, readable, and powerful code. C++ Primer, 5th edition, introduces the C++ standard library from the outset, drawing on its common functions and facilities to help you write useful programs without first having to master every language detail. The book's many examples have been revised to use the new language features and demonstrate how to make the best use of them. This book is a proven tutorial for those new to C++, an authoritative discussion of core C++ concepts and techniques, and a valuable resource for experienced programmers, especially those eager to see C++ 11 enhancements illuminated. This book covers a lot of the core C++ concepts and explains things in good depth and with examples. The beginning of the book immediately introduces a class object, which is probably a bit too early to do and may scare beginners off. If you are a beginner, I would recommend going through learn.com before reading this book. If you buy this book as a beginner, persevere past the first chapter. The first chapter will be quite daunting and maybe discouraging at times to a beginner. The chapters immediately after that are a bit easier and help to tie together some ideas introduced in the first chapter. I felt that I was both learning and being pushed at a decent pace. For example, pointers are explained in chapter 2. The other book felt like I was learning C, but with the C++ bits bolted onto it. This was like learning C++ as it stands on its own, rather than learning C then learning C++, and then unlearning the bits in C that are irrelevant and outdated, unless you plan on doing embedded programming or writing a graphics driver. The exercises within it were challenging enough to solidify what is learned, and the activities felt like a real-world exercise rather than something contrived. Reading this book, I felt that I was actually learning solid skills that I can translate into something practical. The bonus so far is that all the examples are compiled, unless they are specifically not meant to, i.e. as an exercise you will be asked, why didn't this compile? Why is this command illegal in C++? Yes, some things will not make sense to begin with, but stick with it as it will all fall into place. This is a recommended start to learning C++. Overall, a good and thorough book, with no mistakes in it. My seventh C++ book's name is Professional C++, written by Mark Gregoire. Professional C++, 5th edition raises the bar for advanced programming manuals. Complete with a comprehensive overview of the new capabilities of C++ 20, each feature of the newly updated programming language is explained in detail and with examples. Case studies that include extensive working code round out the already impressive educational material found within. Without a doubt, the new 5th edition of Professional C++ is the leading resource for dedicated and knowledgeable professionals who desire to advance their skills and improve their abilities. This book contains resources to help readers maximize the capabilities of C++ with effective design solutions. Master little-known elements of the language and learn what to avoid. Adopt new workarounds and testing debugging best practices. Utilize real-world program segments in your own applications. As a professional C++ programmer working for Microsoft, I'd highly recommend this book to anyone wanting to learn C++. I even recommend it to my colleagues since there is always space to learn and brush up on parts of C++ that you don't use that often. This book delves deep and delivers on its promises. Unlike most other books that deal with basic syntax concepts, this book covers basic syntax and concepts in the first chapter and then moves on to tackle the more advanced aspects that you'll need to be a professional C++ programmer. Additionally, this book introduces you to software engineering practices like unit testing, writing portable efficient code, software architecture and design patterns that I'd say separate the professionals from beginning to intermediate programmers. You can't out-program an awful software design. Finally, the book even covers technical interviews if you consider applying for a C++ programming job. I should point out that no book can be an exhaustive reference to the field of C++, but this book would definitely take you very far along that line, so you have the background to help educate yourself even further. My 8th book's name is C++ 20 The Complete Guide. First edition written by Nikolai M. Jasutis. C++ 20 is the next evolution in modern C++ programming, now supported by major C++ compilers. However, C++ 20 is huge. It will change the way we program more dramatically than C++ 11 did. Combining new features gives you even more power. However, not everything is self-explanatory and there are hidden traps. Therefore, it is key to understand all the concepts of C++ 20 and learn how to benefit best. This book covers the motivation for and context of all new C++ 20 features, covering both language and library, providing many examples and unique background information for application programmers, as well as for library developers. The focus is on how these features impact day-to-day programming, what effect combining features can have, and how you can benefit from them in practice. My 9th C++ book's name is Starting Out with C++ from Control Structures to Objects Right by Tony Gaddis. His books help beginning students understand the important details necessary to become skilled programmers at an introductory level. Gaddis motivates the study of both programming skills and the C++ programming language by presenting all the details needed to understand the how and the why, but never losing sight of the fact that most beginners struggle with this material. His approach is gradual and highly accessible, ensuring that students understand the logic behind developing high-quality programs. As with all Gaddis texts, clear and easy-to-read code listings, concise and practical real-world examples, and an abundance of exercises appear in every chapter. Updates to the 9th edition include revised, improved problems throughout, and a new chapter featuring completely rewritten and expanded material on the Standard Template Library, STL. The book itself has many examples for each chapter that will allow you to do the homework. My recommendation is to practice with the programming challenges. Personally, they're fun because they allow you to be creative in how you make a program. If this is your first time programming, I definitely recommend this book for self-teaching. Use OnLink to code your programs. It's an easy-to-use online compiler where you can save your work. The only drawback of the book perhaps is I think the chapter could have been shorter rather than containing so much. That would have allowed me to understand each topic better. Great examples and as easy to read as a computer science book could be. I think it covers a lot of material, but I have also noticed in later sections that it skips on some programming, as in there was a section dedicated to doubly linked lists in the linked list section, but no example given. Maybe because that's covered more in data structure, but that would have been nice. Easy on the eyes and good code examples with plenty of explanation as to how programs are working. Nothing really bad to say. The content of the textbook is fairly well presented. The author does explain the examples reasonably well. However, as a standalone textbook, you will not have access to solutions answers at the end of each chapter. The linked list code that is in chapter 18 of this book contains 5 typos, all of which break the code. They aren't simple typos, either they are syntax errors. So, if you want to code in C++ and you want some sort of feedback, then you will need the access code as well. But if you want a basic understanding of C++ in general without any practice, then by all means buy this product. The upside is that it is a cheaper alternative, and you will get to see if your code is accepted as a possible solution, but the downside is you only receive access to the book for a year. My last C++ book's name is C++ Templates. The complete guide written by David Vandeverd. Templates are among the most powerful features of C++, but they remain misunderstood and underutilized, even as the C++ language and development community have advanced. In C++ Templates, 2nd edition, 3 pioneering C++ experts show why, when, and how to use modern templates to build software that's cleaner, faster, more efficient, and easier to maintain. Extensively updated for the C++ 11, C++ 14, and C++ 17 standards, this new edition presents state-of-the-art techniques for a wider spectrum of applications. The authors provide authoritative explanations of all new language features that either improve templates or interact with them, including variadic templates, generic lambdas, class template argument deduction, compile time if, forwarding references, and user-defined literals. They also deeply delve into fundamental language concepts, like value categories, and fully cover all standard type traits. The book starts with an insightful tutorial on basic concepts and relevant language features. The remainder of the book serves as a comprehensive reference, focusing first on language details and then on coding techniques, advanced applications, and sophisticated idioms. Throughout, examples clearly illustrate abstract concepts and demonstrate best practices for exploiting all that C++ templates can do. To understand exactly how templates behave and avoid common pitfalls, use templates to write more efficient, flexible, and maintainable software. Master today's most effective idioms and techniques. Reuse source code without compromising performance or safety. Benefit from utilities for generic programming in the C++ standard library. I have this book open at my desk every day. Just reading through the first half of the book really helped me learn advanced modern C++ programming. After a few weeks with some experimental projects and this book, templates were no longer a scary thing. I still am not a template meta-programming expert, of course, but together with this book and Stack Overflow, I can manage. This book really explains every aspect you can think of about template programming. Yet my main issue with it is that its writing style feels really formal and dull, without explaining the subtleties in a deep enough manner, a bit like reading documentation. It explains the basic aspects in exactly the same depth as the complex aspects. I rarely manage to understand the subtleties and the hard-to-understand stuff by just reading this book.